Hey, welcome back to 4 Wheelie D, and now I'm Wheelie D. Alrighty, guys. As you can see, we have the Jeep on the trailer right now because I actually get it done in time to take to the car show. But you don't know that yet. We still got more work to do on it that we're going to show in these videos here real quick. I got other stuff going on, more plans coming up. We are, let's see, I think in this video we will be finishing up the mounting of our steering box and getting our drag link and tie rod made. I don't know how far we're going to make in these videos. It's still new to me with trying to edit them and figure out, what all I want to keep, what I want to throw away, all that good stuff, and still try to make a 20 to 30 minute video and not, bore you guys to death. So anyways, though, eventually I'm going to get to this point where we're on the trailer and we're going to go test this thing out. So yeah, I get it done. Spoiler alert. But anyways, though, let's get on into it. So here you can see that we now have our piece recessed. This is actually the top piece here. You can kind of see maybe a little better from the top. But this piece is going to go farther in to our hole. But we don't know how far it's going to go in yet. I need to mock up the steering backs back onto this, and we need to drill our 2 holes that are going to be for our sleeves. They're going to pass through this piece and go to the outside of our frame. But before we do any of that, we need to address. Let's see if you can see it. You can kind of see it. There's a hairline crack right there. I don't know, we'll see. I might just go ahead and just weld it up for right now, and we'll see about adding more strength later on, because we are boxing right where that crack is to prevent stuff from happening. So it's already going to be stronger. So we might just weld it and call it good. The correct way, I believe, to probably repair this crack would be to support this with more material, then remove the crack via a cutoff wheel, and then build back the metal. We're not going to do that.
What?
Because we're already going back and reinforcing and boxing this section of the frame in. So I'm going to kind of do it the dirty way, which is I'm just going to try to weld right over the crack. This is definitely not the correct way to fix a crack, but because I am reinforcing it, I'm not too worried about it. It's going to be all right.
Okay!
So part of the problem I already run into that I kind of expected to happen is that with the metal cracked, basically now you have one piece that was now 2 pieces, which means the material in between is split and there's nothing there to stop corrosion from happening. So inside the crack there is corrosion, which, as you probably know, is bad for welding. So I'm kind of just trying to burn it out because, like I said, I don't really want to have to cut the crack out and then go down that whole road. It's not the best repair, but something is better than nothing.
We don't do crack. We don't do that. Your crack is whack.
Alrighty, now that I have this welded, I'm gonna go ahead and grind it out so our piece that's supposed to be recessed inside of here will fit. And then we'll get back to fitting up that steering box. So here we are. We have our bushing bolted into one of our ears of our gearbox here. And I made these little tabs. This was kind of like locked in place. I'm not trying to touch it too much because this thing is in a balancing act for sure. And I'm about to tack weld it. Before I did that, I wanted to show you kind of these ears that I made and the whole thought process behind here. So this is going to go here, like so. And we'll end up boxing all of this in and making a nice off stand for our gearbox. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna tack it all in place because it's all in a balancing act right here. And then what we'll do is we'll box this all in. So we got our gearbox here, right? So as of right now, we actually have this mount right here figured out. We got it mocked up, sitting on the Jeep right now. I'm going to show you here in just a second. But before we put it up there, we need to figure out this one. We'll come back to this one, but the main things I want to get is I want to get this one. So, how are we going to get that one? Well, we have a calibrated measuring tool that doesn't even need to be calibrated. for how we're gonna use it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna loosen this up. And this is my plan at least. We'll see if it actually works or not. And we'll put this in the center of that on there. Alrighty, so now we know the distance from this hole to this hole. But one other thing we need to mark real quick is we need to make sure that we have a straight line going down this. We're just gonna score it with a knife. We know that this is how long far this is from this hole to wherever our hole is down here. So we're just gonna go ahead and put this right in the center, and we're gonna scratch an arc right across there. So we know our distance here. So we know that along this arc somewhere is our hole. Well, we know this goes straight down to our hole. So wherever this line intersects, that is where we need to drill. I'm gonna say by my eyeball, if we're doing eyeballs, I say that's probably it right there. Hey, science, it works. Alright, if you're wondering about this, why I put this other bushing on here, that's because these bolts are actually different ones that are way too long, like 2 inches too long. So I need to go back, I need to get more bolts off that XJ, and we'll be in business. I went ahead and I already marked this one. I even accounted for my spacer here, and I put it right about here, and I etched a line right there. Now, this one should be on center. About there, and it's going to etch right about there. Hey guys, what's going on there? So it's a new day. A lot has happened. I stayed up late last night and I got a bunch of stuff knocked out. Up to speed on what all we got going on. There's a lot of boring stuff going on that I don't worry about filming. But we got some stuff to show you for sure. Here we go. I think where I last took off, as you've seen, I made these sides right here for this. And I made this piece here as well. I'm not very happy with this piece. It's definitely strong enough and it's gonna work, but it just doesn't look very good right here. Maybe it doesn't look that bad on camera, but in person it just looks like it was made in a rush. Well, and kind of it was, and I'm probably gonna end up using it still anyways. If it seems like I'm making some of the stuff in a rush, it's because I am. This thing's supposed to be in a car show in like 2 weeks that I'm actually help host, and I need to bring something, and this is pretty much the only thing I really have to bring other than my bike, but I'm not taking my bike. So this is what I'm going to use. So I'm going to try to get just all the linkage done. As you can see here too, we also have our steering linkage going all the way up to our column and gearbox. I made the support right here with this heim joint. That came part of that kit. That was all the steering components, and it's doing great. I still have just everything just tacked. I haven't actually welded anything completely in yet because I didn't know what I was going to change or not change. The one piece that I'm not looking forward to doing is actually this piece, and that's the part, if you remember, this is the part that's going to go inside our frame right here to box this in, which is going to be a little bit of a, it's going to be hard to tackle because I need to drill holes in this for our sleeves that go through, that are just like this one. I have sleeves just like this that go on the underneath side. So I gotta drill holes in this and figure out where those holes go. I'm
Still not 100% sure how I'm going to do that. Some say it might be luck. And then I'll have to make them just a little bit bigger for our sleeves to go through, box it all in, weld it up together. Not looking forward to that part. I actually went ahead and moved this U-joint farther forward because it was basically, the yoke was right next to the exhaust, and there are bearings in here and grease and packings, and I'm still probably gonna end up wrapping this in some kind of heat tape or creating some kind of heat shroud. Also get off this oil line too. I don't know why that's like that, but it is. So I'm just trying to get it away from the heat some more, so I ended up cutting a section of this that was longer and then shortening this section up here. So now it's, man, it's everywhere I want it to be. So the next thing I'm gonna do is we're gonna take our steering box back off right here, and we're going to attempt to box in our frame with our piece. So I'm just gonna tack it in here, then I'm going to drill an 11mm hole this way. Pretty good chance that all this is going to be temporary anyways, just so we can get on a trailer and go to a car show. So yeah, we'll see how far we get.
One of the best things, best happy accidents that ever happened, well, actually it happens to me all the time, is the tops break off this air coil. I don't know why, they're super flimsy. But I used to say, heck with it and throw the can away, but more recently I figured out you just push on the top, the oil comes out, and it looks great. Just like that. Fall right out. Now, even if you wanted to, though I don't know why, you could take it all back to stock.
Why? 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 Why?
I kind of think of this like, you know, whenever you upgrade the brakes on like an old car, like, doesn't matter how original it is, no one's gonna knock it for having upgraded brakes. Like if it came with factory drums and then you went to 4-wheel disc brakes, that's not gonna hurt the value of the vehicle. I feel like that's the same thing right here. I know I'm changing a lot and welding and cutting and chopping, but it's going from pretty much undrivable on a paved road to something that's gonna be somewhat enjoyable. So, and it's a huge chunk of rust anyway, so who cares? All right. There we go. Out with the old. I didn't realize until I went and bought the tubing how overkill this really is. Like, the steering setup we're using is really meant for a Dana 60. Yeah, that's what this Heim kit is meant for. They even go big. There's a 7/8 you can get too, which is even bigger, but we're going the smaller one, 3/4. If I spent more time doing a little more research and thinking about it, I would have gone with some 1/2-inch Heims and then gone with like a 1-inch in diameter tube, and it would have been a lot smaller. I'm still kind of halfway debating about not using this 3/4. Either way, we got to go to 5. The thing that's kind of the kicker is I got to use a 5/8 on the pitman arm. So if I want to do the 1/2-inch, that means I'd have to drill it out and then sleeve it. And I'm kind of on a crunch time. So the weakest point on this entire axle and steering setup is going to be the knuckle, and
after I enlarge the holes, you know, it's removing more material. That's what I'm a little worried about. See that we're going way overkill on the steering. I don't have any, that's the other thing I need to get still too, is I need to get some encapsulated nuts with some bolts, some holes drilled in them so I can safety them on the end, but I don't know what length or size I needed yet. I was kind of waiting on that. Anyways though, this is the Heim set that we are using, and I might have talked a little bit about it earlier. I don't know if you don't know too much about Heims. There's a lot of good videos out there about Heim joints. Just the whole concept of a Heim joint. They're used in tons of different applications. They can use in a 4-link setup. Here we're using a steering setup. They can use a panhard bar. Basically any kind of suspension joint usually can be somehow remedied with a Heim joint. They're definitely the most durable. How do I explain this? They're the strongest, but they're not in it for longevity in certain applications. Like this Heim steering, I don't think we have to worry about longevity of a steering for this XJ, because, well, for one, it doesn't get driven that much, and two, these things are overkill. So this is a 5/8 bolt. Originally, our knuckles have a 1/2-inch bolt in it, so that's a huge jump up. And this is a, let's see, this one is a 3/4 inch Heim. They're actually the same. Oh no, the 3/4 is actually bigger. This is a 3/4 inch Heim. This is a 5/8 Heim. We got these misalignment spacers. This is so overkill. These are meant for like a Dana 60, basically 1-ton axles. Wherever you wanted to use them, they're ungodly huge. So I don't know if you use them actually for a 4-link. They're probably a bit small for that, but they're great for our steering setup. After looking at these, because this was all part of a kit and I just bought the kit, I wish I'd done a little bit of research and I went with 1/2-inch Heims, because these are like ungodly huge, and you're gonna see when we bolt them up to the knuckles how much bigger they are. Let's see if I can kind of show you the difference here. So this is our original tie rod right there. That's got a 1/2-inch shank, tapered, all the goods, right? This is the tie rod end. This is the Heim joint. Though they might look similar in size, they're not. They're not even close. Like, it's just bigger and thicker in pretty much every way you can think of. And what's gonna be really impressive is the tubing we're going with too. So this tubing right here is a little less than 3/4 outer diameter. The tube we're gonna be replacing it with is 1.5 inch outer diameter with a 3/4 inner diameter. That means this tube will actually go inside of the new tube that we're installing. That's how much bigger it is. This is the tube of our tie rod end. This is the tube we're installing. Yeah, it's like twice as big. I'm actually a little bit worried about clearance and this tube fitting up underneath there. I mean, this thing's gonna be solid.
What do you say we go somewhere else?
That's a huge bitch.
So we're getting to the point we're gonna weld our Heims, or our bung welds for our Heim joints here under this DOM tubing, and I just started to finally actually do some research into what all it takes to welding one of these successfully, and pretty quick I started to feel like I might be in over my head. And then I started to realize, like, you know what? If there's one to mess up, it's this one. And everything's gonna be all right. And I started thinking about it, you know, you probably have noticed that I don't have a name for this Jeep yet, or even a name for this project. And after thinking about this, and kind of weigh all these critical parts that I've been making, I'm calling this project Professor Willis. Because it's a Willys Jeep, and a teacher or a professor, I'll call it Professor Willis.
So pretty much everything I'm doing on this is critical stuff on a different project. And it's still critical in this idea. Like, I'm not taking it slightly. I'm not trying to, half do this job. But I always, even when you see me doing the cage, I'm trying to take it all with a grain of salt, being that if there's one to mess up, this is the project you're gonna do it on. The whole idea of this project, Professor Willis, is to build my confidence. If I were doing this on an XJ or any other project, I'd be a lot more scared and have a lot less confidence. And I wanna get there. I wanna get to that level of confidence of doing this kind of stuff. I already have a lot more confidence doing a roll cage. That roll cage, like I said, I wouldn't trust on a rock bouncer, but if I were to do it again, I know what I'd do differently. And I still might redo that one again too. And I know I was talking about earlier about how I should have gone with the 1/2 inch. I'm actually really glad I went with the 3/4 inch heims on these, because this is the exact material I would be using on a Dana 60 or a 1 ton or whatever be off-road. And so I'm actually really glad I went with this and not with something else. And that's for the pure aspect of learning. So hindsight's 2020, would have gone to the 1/2? No, I still would have gone to the 3/4, thinking about it again. And that's just for the basic learning curve. So we're running out of time tonight. It's dark outside. I gotta wait on more tooling before I can measure this out correctly. So we'll be back again here in a couple days with the right tooling, and we'll get these heims welded up on Professor Willis.